What's up guys? Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to cover a topic I have yet to discuss this year. In the event you've been in a coma the last year and you were holding Tesla stock a year ago, congrats, your investment has done quite well. If we look at the 5-year performance of how Tesla stock has done, if you bought any point in 2016, 17, 18, 19, your investment was, in my opinion, fairly valued for a growth sector stock that wasn't even in the S&P 500 yet. And yes, it's up 10%, 20%, down 10%, down 20%, but the share price was holding pretty strong in the 200, 300 range. However, at some points in October of last year, 2019, I don't know what changed, but people's perception of Tesla and specifically electronic vehicles. People all of a sudden are now sold on the idea that electronic vehicles, battery-powered vehicles, are the future of automotion, and everyone's going to have self-driving cars soon. So the share price increased in the span of 4 months by 260%. We then had the market dip in March because of the whole pandemic thing. If you had bought at that dip, then your investment appreciated another 250%. To 2.5x your money, that's pretty good. However, any experienced investor will look at this graph and see, let's see here, from October to this month, it has gone up 567%. Meaning the stock price has gone parabolic. There are very few, if no, examples of established, dependable Fortune 500 companies that have 5x'd their share price in 6 months, and it has ended well for that company. And the initial frenzy of the share price was in part due to, once again, people thinking that electric vehicles are the future. Tesla is now the established, dominant, largest electric vehicle company. But the recent surge is in this belief that because Tesla will join the S&P 500, all of these index funds, ETF funds, mutual funds are going to have to purchase additional shares to fit it into their index portfolios. And although this is true, it will cause the price to go up a little bit. But anybody who's looking for that short-term profit for when Tesla is added to the S&P 500, aren't they just going to sell out and it's just going to have a net balancing effect? I don't think this is some secret for a long-term or even a 1-year investment in order to grow just because it's being added to certain ETFs. And in my opinion, the share price is just unreasonable and out of hand. Elon Musk is now richer than Warren Buffett. I do like Elon Musk. I appreciate his drive, his vision, the diversity of companies and sectors that he's interested in. But even he said Tesla stock price is too high, in my opinion. And this was on May 1st. He got in trouble for this. He had to delete it. I'm sure the SEC fined him. CEOs of companies are not allowed to publicly discuss that they think their share price is good or bad. And when we compare what's happening to Tesla now to some previous examples, we can draw some distinctions, but also some parallels. The first comparison might be the 2000 dot-com crash. When you look at the share price of Intel, Intel was a very promising chip manufacturer. This is a good company. It was always a good company, but the share price went parabolic. Starting in mid-1999, the share price increased 160, 150%, going up to $69 a share. The dot-com crash occurred, it then collapsed, it's slowly been regaining its share price, but the share price of Intel has not recovered. 20 years later, it has not recovered. Now obviously the dot-com crash had a lot of junk companies. Anything with a dot-com in it was having money thrown at it. In no way is Tesla comparable to any of these speculative internet stock companies. I'm not saying that Tesla is any way comparable to the 2000 crash. However, this is an example of when a stock price goes parabolic in a very short period of time and what can happen. The next example is Bitcoin. Cryptocurrency and once again stocks are very, very different, obviously. But in 2017, 2018, Bitcoin was taking off because people were convinced that cryptocurrency is the future. Of course, everyone in the future will be using Bitcoin, right? So the share price in a very short period of time went from, less than 5,000 to where did it peak at? 20,000. So that's a 5x return in less than a 6-month period. And of course, it crashed. People who realize it's a bubble or it's overvalued, they know when to take their profits and they get out. And the people who are stuck at a loss are the people who don't know when to get out. If you don't like those two examples, we can talk about a more recent trend in tech, and this was the frenzy in 2013 around 3D printing. And I remember this. I wasn't investing at the time, but I remember everybody talking about how 3D printing is the future of the economy. We're going to 3D print houses. We're going to 3D print medicine. We're going to 3D print food. And everybody was jumping into these 3D printing stocks. So in January of 2012, over a 6-month period, a 650% gain for this company, 3D Systems. It's an engineering company. This company's still around. It's still profitable. It's still, improving 3D printing technology. But this is just once again where investor sentiment was ahead of the times. And there's an entire series of these 3D printing stocks that all follow the same pattern of tremendous exuberance over a 6-month period where everyone was jumping in. Let's see, XONE, here's another one. And these companies are still around. They're still improving 3D printing technology. There still is growth in this market and this sector. It just wasn't justifiable when everybody realized that this was the future. When you just look at the metrics for Tesla now, we can go on this website called Finviz. It's pretty nice. The PE ratio is 747. A good PE ratio is under 30. So something that I like to look at when you try to talk about these tech or growth stocks is what do the people who know these companies best? What are they doing? So on this website, Finviz, if you scroll to the bottom, it shows you all of the insider trading. These are people who work for the company or have a controlling interest in the company. And they're all selling or exercising options. So president of automotive, let's see here, chief accounting officer, director, CEO, Elon Musk, he bought more. The overwhelming majority of people who work at Tesla that know this company the best, they think that the share price is overvalued. Meaning they're selling now after their 300% profit, I guess. And I'm guessing these people believe in the company. They believe where they work. And they're going to buy back in once the stock crashes. So where is this exuberance coming from? Who is buying Tesla stock and holding it through this parabolic trend? And it's retail investors. It's people, to be fair, buying and driving and loving Teslas. And there's nothing wrong with that. As an investor, you should invest in companies that you know and that you support and that you enjoy. But the biggest investors in Tesla are people on Robinhood, retail investors, small dollar investors. When you go to this website, this is a really good website called robintrackdebt.net. You can see what is the most popular stocks that Robinhood investors, usually lower dollar retail, more amateur investors are using. Big hedge funds, billionaires, they're using Charles Schwab or Morgan Stanley or Goldman Sachs. They're not using Robinhood to trade their billions of dollars. Another thing I like to look at is how is Tesla reacting to their share price increasing? And this is a website called macrotrends.net. You can look at how many outstanding shares of a stock there are. So for Tesla, they have been increasing the number of shares. So this is going back by quarter. And this bar graph shows you how many outstanding shares of Tesla exist per billion. So this is currently the most recent quarter. There's 0.207 billion outstanding shares of Tesla, meaning there's 207 million. And what's been happening here is Elon Musk and Tesla have been issuing new shares. So they saw their stock price jump in the first quarter of this year. They then increased the number of shares in existence by 15%. They were taking advantage of the inflated stock price in order to sell additional shares in order to raise a boatload of cash. Companies traditionally do this when they believe that their share price is overvalued. Companies themselves can just time the market by issuing new shares when they think their company stock is inflated, hold on to that cash, wait for their own stock company price to crash. They can then buy back in at a lower cost of their own share price to make a profit. It's kind of a silly idea, but Tesla is doing this to their own investors. And for those who believe in Tesla and their vision for a world that only drives electric vehicles, I don't think that the other automotive companies in the world are just going to passively let that stand and fade away into oblivion. You know, the world's largest automotive makers by vehicles delivered globally is Volkswagen #1, Toyota #2, Nissan, GM, Hyundai, Kia, Ford. So this little itty bitty box, under 1 million cars delivered, is Tesla. And when you look at the valuation of companies by market cap, Tesla is the most valuable company in the world right now. So once again, just comparing these two charts, Tesla, this itty bitty cars delivered, what we're actually doing, versus their valuation compared to Toyota, Volkswagen, so forth and so forth. These other companies, these other executives, they see what's happening. They know where the consumer demand is. I want to buy a Tesla, and they're not gonna accept, you know, the failure of their own companies. Whether it takes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, all of these companies will have introduced their own purely electric vehicle in the near future. And when that happens, when there's true competition for Tesla, when they're not the sole provider of a technology in demand, are they really going to be able to stay on top? Ultimately, the enthusiasm for Tesla by people buying the stock today, I don't think they're factoring in how these other global car manufacturers are going to respond to the enthusiasm that consumers are showing Tesla. I mean, I lived in South Korea for 6 years. They're very good at copying other people's technology. Samsung to Apple, Hyundai to Toyota. So I guarantee you, in Japan, in China, in Germany, in South Korea, they are working on electric vehicles, and they're going to have something very soon in the coming years to be able to compete with Tesla's vision. Final thoughts on Tesla and their share price. If you purchased Tesla stock at any point before October 2019, hold on to it. You know, you must have bought it at that time because you believed in the company and you thought it would be a good long-term investment. If your goal was to hold it for the rest of your life or for 5, 10, 15 years, the fact that it's blipped up and might go down by 50% from where it currently is, in the long run, that shouldn't matter to you. You know, set it and forget it, basically. However, if you're a short-term investor and a speculator who just wants to make a quick profit, if you purchased at any point between April and June, I don't know what you're waiting for. You got your profit. If you think the share price of Tesla is going to 5x again and go to 10,000, 7,500, I just don't see how you can mathematically justify that at all happening in the near future. Additionally, something else to consider is for all those people who bought Tesla saying, hey, the stock price is going to jump once it's added to all these ETFs, those are the people planning on getting out. You know, once they get out, the share price will fall, and then the ETFs that just bought it will have to compensate by selling, and then it could cause a cascade of people who purchased at any point between here and here panicking because they don't want to go negative. So if you bought anywhere up here, it's up to you. Okay guys, if you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up so the algorithm knows it's good. In addition, consider subscribing to my channel. I talk about finance and investing topics. And if you have any questions or comments, if you're a Tesla fan, don't kill me. But I just wanted to give my opinion, my thoughts, my reflections on the share price of this company. It's a great company. I would love to buy a Tesla in the next 2 to 3 years. With that said, until the next video, take care.